So, Deidre is human after all. Yes, I'm going to start with the little love story before we get into the crap. So, like was suggested because of their nerves, Deidre and Cyril were hosting Cyril's mother, Edie, who is her usual self, and just a reminder of why Cyril is Cyril. So, they're having dinner, and first tries to, I guess, insult her by saying, "You're not at all what I expected at, she isn't what you thought she would look like." Which, on the one hand, it could turn out to be an awesome compliment. That she was so worried about Cyril's taste that she would be some ghoul, and she's actually gorgeous. That didn't happen. She just, Deidre didn't want to know the answer to the question, so Edie tried to egg her on, and she's like, "Nope, don't want to know. I'm afraid to find out." So obviously, Edie had in mind to insult her from the get go. This was not going to end well because Edie dropped it at that point. She never once went back to, "Oh, how beautiful you are," or "how ghoulish you are." It dropped because she I guess got the response that she wanted, which is that Deidre is scared of her. I guess that was the look she was going for. But then the tables got turned because Edie, first off, would not shut up, you know, talking about Cyril and getting a marriage length worth of embarrassment for Cyril into one lunch. Um, so, yeah. And poor Cyril, he just is having a nervous breakdown, leaves, and, you see him just lying, you know, completely spaced on the bed. I mean, worst nightmare come true. And this is where we see that Deidre actually truly cares about Cyril, because she stood up to Cyril's mother, which I'm sure she was not expecting. She probably thought that she was going to come in and she was going to successfully boss her around because, this idea that women want to please their future mother in laws because of this, that, and the other thing, like, "Oh, Cyril wouldn't want to be with you unless you please his mother." When, yeah, she totally overplayed her hand because, number one, I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons that Cyril likes Deidre is because she isn't going to take his mother's bullshit. I mean, yes, she is a strong-willed woman like his mother, but she still cares about it. Whereas you question whether Edie doesn't find Cyril to be a burden. This idea that, "Oh, if it wasn't for his uncle, blah, blah, blah." And Deidre's like, "Yeah, I've seen his criminal record. You probably." So either she is totally dumb about what his uncle does, or she just does not care, because that shut her up big time, because she realized that she can no longer use that because there's somebody out there who actually knows who he is. So, yeah, the dressing down of Edie was fun. That she said, you know what? The more you cause anxiety to Cyril, the less chance you're ever going to hear from him again. I just love it how she said, I will let Cyril. That part kind of bugged me because, we're trading one overbearing woman for another, but it's possible that she's just trying to speak her language. This idea that, like she said, like Edie said, you'll toughen him up. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And so basically, she threw it back in her face. Yeah, I'll toughen him up in the sense that I'm going to give him the freedom to not speak to you so he doesn't have to deal with that trauma. He can, be free to live his life without you constantly nagging him about what he did wrong or how he should do this or how he should do that. So, are they both fascists? Absolutely. But you cannot deny that she genuinely cares for Cyril. Now, we also, for those who were clinging on to this theory that Deidre is secretly Andor's sister, unless they implanted false memories in her, which I guess if we're going with that, it's possible, then no, she isn't, because she said that when she was 3, her parents were sent away because they were criminals, and that she was raised in a kinder block, which I can only assume is an orphanage in Star Wars. Foster care, orphanage, don't know, but something along those lines. And, the way she said that, we didn't know that we didn't, we were pleased with what we had, we were fine. The way she said it was also very human. She was very kind about it, very warm about it, like she cherished those memories as opposed to, Edie, who was trying to put her down. Well, she was trying to be empathetic, but basically she was putting her down for how she was raised, and she just didn't take her bullshit. So, yeah, I was totally rooting for Deidre on this one. And, because like I said, not a fan of either character in the sense they're both fascists, but they truly care about each other, and Cyril found a woman who will stand up to his mother. So, yes, very much a keeper. So, let's get to... Well, before we get to the meat, let's get to the wedding. Even though it was interspersed with Cassian, so I'll probably intersperse it, but... So, I guess that because Mon Mothma didn't want to get married, she was forced to. She figured that her daughter doesn't want to go through this, so she's going to give her an excuse not to go through with it. But that just made her much more determined to go through with the wedding. And it's just so bizarre that they were going through these motions. No smiles, just very stern looks from both the bride and the groom. It was very, very bizarre. And, Mon Mothma mentioned that she had gotten drunk. Her husband, Perrin, had mentioned, please don't get drunk again. And, which was beautifully understatedly shown by Parent's face when he's having a good time during the reception, and then he sees that Mon Mothma is drunk and he's like, oh shit. But very understated. I mean, it wasn't so obvious. He didn't make it demonstratively obvious that he could see that she was drunk, but he knew. It's like, oh crap, this again. So so I very much enjoyed that. Um Now Luthen seems to have put Tay, her childhood friend, on a hit list because he wants money. Now, he had mentioned previously that he and his wife are separated. So I don't know if divorce is a thing, but separation still is. I'm not sure how that works. But I guess I don't know if he's paying the Star Wars equivalent of child support or what's going on that he suddenly is like feeling underappreciated and wants money. Not that he wants anything else to do to help the rebellion or to be compensated but with money. So that leads you to think that maybe he has money issues, now looking back on it. So, Luthen wants to deal with him. Because this is her childhood friend, she wants to deal with it herself. And it's like she's just doesn't want to accept that Tay might not be the guy that she thinks he is. I mean, let's face it, when you're dealing with childhood friends, you don't want to, read that your childhood friend is a horrible human. So, there is that. Let's see here. So it's implied because I cannot think of Vel's Squeeze's name, if they're even together still. I mean, it could have been just a momentary fling. We don't know. It is a year later, so who knows? Relationships come and go. We see her flying him off. And obviously she isn't his usual chauffeur. So we're implying that you can say goodbye to him. He's going to end up dead. Speaking of dead, before I go to that, so I'm still curious, does Lita know what family she married into? Does she know that her father-in-law is a mob boss? I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. But this is the first time we've seen the mother of the boy speak and actually emote, because usually we see her very stern looking along with him. So but now let's get to the harvest. So apparently the Imperials are coming back to do the audit. I mean, I thought they already did, but I guess they were coming back for a second look. And so Brasso, Bix, and Will are all like, oh shit. Well, Will is gone. He's meeting with his squeeze, which the way they were talking about in the first episode, it's like she liked him, but he didn't like her back, and it quickly turned into, no, they're a thing. Or maybe Will just was telling that to Bix because he didn't want Bix to yell at him for being with her. I don't know. But anyway, so they come, and again, they're in the wheat field. Will and this girl are in the wheat field. And he looks like he wants to be a hero. And I pegged that he was the one who was going to end up dying. Not that I was rooting for him to die, but the fact that it was Brasso who ended up dying, just, that just was gut wrenching because I like him. And, but let's face it, none of these people were mentioned in Rogue One. So it stands to reason that one by one they're going to be killed off. So then we saw the guy, the creepy Imperial who looked like he was very interested in Bix, actually try to rape her. Because I guess he would have let it go that she's undocumented if she spread her legs. Which is a thing, actually. Men do manipulate women like that. And most women, who aren't Bix, won't stand up for that because they're just trying to survive. Bix, however, now they called Brasso her husband. Now, it's been a year, so maybe something happened that I don't know, but I think that was just a line they gave the Imperial so the Imperial would, stop wanting to be handsy. Well, this time, he decided to try to rape her. And, of course, Bix is not a damsel in distress. She can take care of herself. So I was thrilled to see her kill him. It was so satisfying to see that. Because when I saw that he was attacking her, I'm like, this girl cannot cut a break. I mean, first, in last season, she was tortured to gain information about Cassian, or actually about Axis. I'm not sure which one at this point. Because at the time, Cassian had not actually joined the Resistance. I mean, he was still a thorn in their side, but he hadn't actually joined the Resistance. So, if I recall correctly, this was more about Luthen. I mean, it was about Cassian as well, but also Luthen, I think. So, I thought, oh no, she's going to end up being raped. But no, she stood up for herself. And when Will tried to come to her rescue, and the driver there was, I mean, just think about how callous you have to be when a guy's like, come out with your hands up because all he knows is that his lieutenant was killed. And she's like, he tried to rape me, and it just does not register at all in the sympathy column. It's like as if she's still the bad guy because she killed a man, and the fact that he attacked her was completely immaterial. So then Will comes out and starts shooting. And he would make a great stormtrooper. So, but Bix handled it because Will gave her enough space to go get a gun and blow his brains out. So then we did learn before this that Cassian was, in communication. He finally got in communication with Clea. Apparently the ship he was in was not the one he was supposed to be stealing, which makes you wonder, how did he end up in the TIE fighter then? If this isn't the ship he was supposed to steal. Was there supposed to be another ship in the hangar and he just grabbed the one that was there? I mean, I'm not sure what. Or was he supposed to get another ship after delivering the TIE fighter to the planet of jackasses? And because they're jackasses, they, killed a resistance fighter who actually could, do things. Who actually, I can assume, was intelligent. So I wonder if Cassian's ever going to tell Clea or Luthen about the planet of the jackasses. But when he found out that they were in trouble, he just cut communications and's like, okay, going in. But Bix and Will, being intelligent people, knew that it was Andor, knew that it was Cassian. And, but they killed off Brasso. I mean, at first I thought that the guy did truly, that farmer guy truly did turn them in, but it was just a ruse so he wouldn't get killed. Brasso was doing it to protect him, which was brilliant. But he died. I liked Brasso. That made me sad. So that was the last of the first block of episodes. Now, I'm not so sure I like the way they're doing this season. Not that they're doing it in blocks, but I mean, you would think that if they're going to do it in blocks, that they would be like, okay, this would happen to him in this year, and that it was multiple things that happened in that year. That it wasn't just one thing that takes 3 episodes, like the wedding, everything. Maybe they'll speed it up in the previous in subsequent episodes, this idea of multiple things throughout that year, because each block of episodes is a year of his life. So next 3 will be in the year 3 BBY. And because these episodes are going to lead up to Rogue One. And I don't know if we're going to revisit Lita and her husband and how that's going. Because, again, no mention of her, or Perrin for that matter, was made in Rogue One. So she's being married off. So it's entirely possible that something happens that either she chooses or she's forced to cut off communication with her mother. Because I don't know how this culture works. It's possible that now that she's a part of their family, that Mon Mothma and Perrin don't exist to her anymore. I don't know how this works. They all seem to be having a good time, so I'm assuming that, that they won't cut her off. But it's also possible, because of his business, that, he just ends up cutting off ties with Mon Mothma, finds out that she's helping the resistance or whatever. Who knows? What ends up, why she doesn't mention Perrin? I mean, it's possible that just simply because they didn't invoke her private life in Rogue One, that could be the reason, or there could be more to it. We'll eventually find out. But Vel seems to be unhappy. She seems to be upset upon seeing Tay leave, that this implies that he is being flown to his death. So I'm pretty sure she is going to smack Mon Mothma and let her know that, okay, Mon, this actually happened. Your childhood friend is now dead because he was being a greedy fuck. Um so there's no there I mean there's going to be continuity with the next 3 episodes in the sense that it's going to be more adventures that Andor has. I assume that Bix and Will still be alive, that everybody who is alive at the end of this episode will still be alive, because the whole point is to show Andor losing these people. Um, Again, except for Tay. He might survive this, he might not, because the old adage is no body, no dead. So it's implied, but it could easily be just a threat of, maybe you don't want to be threatening the rebellion. So it's like, stop threatening to get more money out of Mon, and will not threaten to kill you. I mean, it could just be a threat. We do not know. Let's see, what else? What else did I want to mention about this episode? I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to this episode. I'm glad Will survived, but I'm didn't expect him to. I really thought he was going to die. So maybe he'll be the next to go. Because I can't imagine that he'll lose Bix early on. If anything, it'll be right before Rogue One. I believe I've covered everything I wanted to this episode. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.